it feels less than 10 years for some reason. But if I look at my gray hairs, I cannot come to another conclusion that it indeed has been 10 years already. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like we just got started. We have so many new ideas that we want to add to the product, and everyone is so enthusiastic about developing and evolving the platform. So yeah, maybe not everyone knows, but I started this company from an agency. I used to have a creative agency called Raadhuis. We worked for a customer called Rabobank. We digitized their customer-facing magazines, and we used a technology called Flash. Not sure if anyone in this room still knows. I see some people nodding, but Apple decided not to support Flash anymore. So when the iPad arrived, we had to look for another solution, something that was in HTML5, CSS3 for the technicians under us. I couldn't find it, so I decided to build it myself together with my CTO and co-founder Joost. And that was back in 2013, 2014. Within that agency, we thought it was just like an internal tool for our designers. And then I said to my two partners, hey, this can be big. We can also enable other people to create content. Welcome, hey. So we can also enable other companies to create content. And they looked at me, what do you mean? We're gonna cannibalize our own studio by having a solution that we're gonna bring outside? I said, yeah, what if we would onboard 1,000 customers? And my colleagues looked at me and said, yeah, you're crazy. Look at where we are today. So many more customers than I ever envisioned in my life. Almost 300,000 docs created in Foleon, which is really impressive. We once said we want to get to 1 million in 2030. So I think we're on the right track. But maybe one of the new features will block that. Yeah? Okay. Cool, so yeah, where the journey started, as I mentioned, Rabobank. We started in Alkmaar, the two of us. After a couple of months, we decided to hire the first staff. I started with my wife. She was our first employee, which is always a bad decision. No, just kidding. She was like the jack of all trades. She did everything that I couldn't do or couldn't pick up. I was on the road mainly, so I was pitching. I was driving in my small Volvo diesel to AM, for example. I can remember really well. And started pitching Foleon everywhere. This is the painful moment, indeed, where you gained 20 kilos and got 1 million gray hairs extra. Little bit of a fast forward to 2016. We started to onboard newer customers, more employees. There were years where we hired 52 employees in 1 year. You can imagine that it's pretty chaotic and stressful. But we saw a lot of opportunity and we got a lot of positive feedback. So we decided to expand to the UK. We opened our office over there, hired the first people. So I flew back and forth to London every Thursday, taking the first plane at 7 o'clock in the morning and flying back on the same day, 8 in the evening. And I kept that on for a couple of years. But we also saw a good opportunity in the US. We had some really amazing customers in the Netherlands like PwC, EY, Hearst magazines, and we started to pitch for the US team as well, and they were enthusiastic. And I couldn't really envision that. I thought a small Dutch SaaS company, a design platform for content in the US, there must be way bigger companies that are far ahead of us. But the response of those large enterprises was really positive, and they were excited to get started with our platform. So in 2016, end of 2016, we decided also to open up our US office. I moved there with my family for about 3 months, setting up the organization, scaling up, hiring the first employees, trying to understand customers, which is not easy, but it was pretty exciting. And then we started to evolve the platform further. And as some of you know, we were called Instant Magazine when we started, which was a very logical name because you could create magazines instantly. So nothing too fancy about it. But our customers were using us way broader. So they started using us for brochures, L&D content, onboarding manuals for new colleagues, white papers, e-books, proposals. So the name Foleon was a little bit limiting to us. So we decided to rebrand to Foleon. Before anyone asks what the name means or where it's coming from, I wanted to have a name that didn't mean anything, basically, because I didn't want to put people's thoughts into one direction. so I want to have like a generic name. So I came up with company names like Untold or Unfold or Reveal. I kind of like that. We also thought of instant.com. So then it was also kind of unbiased. I could buy that domain name for $750,000. I decided not to pursue that opportunity. So we came to Foleon. Folio means like leaf in Old Latin, and on is like online, interactive, combination of those two. Domain name was available, everything added, made us decide to go for Foleon. That was back in 2019. The first version of our editor was a very template-driven editor. In 2018, we launched the first version of our drag-and-drop editor. Maybe I know that some of you still used to work in that first version of the drag-and-drop editor. It had this button at the top. It said undo, redo. It was grayed out. It was inactive. And if you would hover it, it would say coming soon. I look at our product manager, Daniel, and he's hiding behind someone. So it said coming soon, but coming soon was not really soon. It was pretty complex to build that undo redo button. So we decided to build other things first, like our template manager. That's still one of our most adopted features today, but also map CRM integrations with, for example, HubSpot, who's here today as well, and Binder, who is also representing today. So great that you're here. Thank you. And after that, we still had to kind of fix that problem with undo redo because customers were asking for it. So the team started to bend their heads around it and came to the conclusion that we basically had to overhaul the whole platform. We just released in 2018. 2021 we had to build a new version. So we had to rewrite more than 1 million lines of codes, create a whole new platform basically. It looked the same, but we had this new button, undo redo. It worked. And I always explain it internally that this must be the most expensive button that you've ever seen. But it was much more than just a button. It was a new foundation for the platform. So all the features that we built afterwards were possible because we had that undo, not because of the undo redo button, but because we had that new framework. Hey, welcome. Yeah, take a seat. Hey, no worries, no worries. Glad you're here. So in 2021, we had the new platform there, and we were able to build new cool features like commenting on docs, the review mode. We were able to build stuff like workspaces where you can share templates and libraries across multiple teams, so you can really start to expand the use of Foleon across multiple teams, multiple locations. Really, that collaboration part that really became an important part of our platform. And that's also where we focused on in 2023, when we released a new version of our editor. So the main one is the Content Studio. We launched a new version called the Content Builder. So a lot of our customers want to empower non-designers also to create content, but still a little bit afraid that they would mess up or jeopardize the brand identity. So we created this new version of the platform where we removed a lot of options that leads to less design choices that you have to make, less mistakes. And that's really the first step of empowering non-designers to create compelling content, which is important for us because we want to become that central source for content. We want our companies, our customers to build all the content that they have, except for their website maybe, into our platform. So from L&D content, HR, sales, marketing, corporate communications, support content. And if you want to produce content at that level, you need to empower others to create content, make it more efficient, make it more quick. So we call that democratization of content creation. That's a big word. But that's how we think, and that's what we also love to build, and that's also where we are working on today. Yeah? Any questions so far? Why is there a square logo? A good one. So it's a far simplified version of the first one. So the first one was very complex. It had like a little bit the shape of an F, and then a designer came. What can be like the most minimal version of the F? And that's the outer corners of the F, which is like a triangle. But it's also a little bit of a page peel. So if you read a book, you can flip the corner of the page, which is like a page peel. So the tagline at the time was Foleon, creating page turners only. Yeah, I didn't come up with that, by the way. Cool, so we've come a long way, you could say, from a simple tool for a small studio in Alkmaar to create interactive magazines, e-zines, digizines, however you like to call them, to where we are today, a full content creation platform that enables teams to work together, scale up content creation, integrated with your marketing tech stack, and your marketing ecosystem. But obviously that's not all. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming. The first one is, I already framed it a little bit, is personalization. So on the 22nd of July, this is scheduled to be launched, a new functionality in the platform to personalize content. And you will not only be able to personalize content by including data from your reader into the publications. You can also, for example, exclude content. So you can really make content more relevant to your audiences based on page conditions. So this is a very exciting feature for us. Something we had in our very, very first version of the editor, where we worked for Runner's World. They created personalized running evaluation magazines. So after you did the marathon of Rotterdam, you would receive a publication in your mailbox with your finished photo, your finish time, and all the photos that you had along the track. Fully personalized, you can imagine that went viral. So it was a really great feature, but pretty technical. And now we are building a whole new version that is easy to use, but still as impactful as that one. So amazing feature also for stuff like A/B testing. So you can create 2 versions of one doc or 4 versions of one doc, compare each version, so you can decide which content works best. Next one is advanced analytics. So we have our own analytics engine. We have an integration with Google Analytics, obviously. But with personalization, there's also a need to compare versions. So I said that the growth of the amount of publications, almost 300,000, will probably slow down a little bit, because now we don't have to think in documents anymore, but in different versions of documents, because you can create one version, let's say a 100-page brochure, and create a 6-page version for prospect A or prospect B. So you will have different versions of pieces of content. So we had to redefine our analytics engine, basically, and we're also going to launch this simultaneously to our personalization feature, so that will be available. But the whole new engine is also tracking a lot more details: page scroll depth, on-click events, video pause, play, all those events. And in the coming weeks and months, we will be starting to add new dashboards to the analytics module in our platform. Talking about that platform, the dashboard is going to get an overhaul. So we redid the editor back in 2021, but we didn't touch the dashboard itself. So this is basically where you land. And it's a pretty static environment, you could say. And we want to make that more fluent and have the ability to adjust the dashboard to the different user personas that are using our platform. Now it's very much focused on the content creator. But if you're, for example, a reviewer, or you only have to personalize docs, or you want to find docs, then the editor doesn't really make sense. So with that new editor, we are able to personalize the experience also for customer segments. So yeah, very exciting new thing that's going to be launched after summer. Last one for today is carousels. That's often requested feature as well. Customers want to create more compelling, more engaging content, and we're going to build a new thing. So we have, for the ones that are in the editor, occasionally we have blocks and we have elements. This lives a little bit between those two. So you can make a combination of different elements and they form a card. That's the first step. So we're going to allow you to build these cards with different elements, and then you can choose how you want to display it. Do you want to display it as an image gallery, masonry view, image slider, interactive carousel? So it opens up so many different great opportunities to make content more engaging. So this is something that the team is working on today, and we also expect it to be launched in Q3, maybe early Q4. Also cool stuff. Cool. So we're evolving from content creation more towards content management, right? So we see more and more customers creating more different content types, scaling up content creation across the organization, but it also brings new challenges for our customers to manage all that content. So we also want to focus more on the content management part, where you, for example, can lock certain parts of content. So if you want to enable your sales team to create interactive proposals, you don't want them to change the About Us page or the disclaimer. So you will have the ability to lock certain parts of the content. And next step would be that if you want to lock it, you also want to make it dynamic. So if something changes, the About Us page or the disclaimer or whatever, you want to overwrite all the existing live docs with the updated version of the content. So we call that linked content. All those things are going to be built after the 4 things I just mentioned are done. Is it my phone? No. So I think all of this gives us enough work for the coming years. But if we even need to, you want to pick it up? You want me to pick it up? If we still need to think bigger than that, then Joost and I will come up with a new vision for 2050 with even more gray hairs and maybe a little beard. So we asked AI, how would Daan and Joost look like in 2050? This is about it.